All right. Of course, as we looked at our graphic depiction one more time on our home page, so let me get there. Once we take a look at entering in all the information that we know as far as invoices, right? The next step we have here is to go ahead and process and receive our payments. So of course, with every single invoice that we issued, we have a due date, okay? Depending on how we do services, right? In this case, most and all of our invoices have a 30-day mark on it of when it is due. So with that being said, that means we are pending on a lot of payments, right? As we saw in our income tracker, yes, all of them are overdue. But that's okay. We're going to be focusing on a few that we're going to be looking at just in particular. So again, we're looking at receiving payments. So let's go ahead and take our first look at how to receive a payment. So every single way is going to be identical to how we enter in an invoice, except there is that one hidden one. So there's 7 in total ways to go ahead and receive a payment. All right. So we talked about the home page, right? Standard as usual. You can go ahead and click receive payments right here. Okay. You can also receive payments on the menu bar. We go to customers, and you can also receive your payments here. Let me see, receive payments. There it is, receive payments. Okay. Any way that you can get to the customer center as well, right? You'd be able to receive a payment as well, right? You either go to new transactions, receive payments. You can also click on Cruz Maria, for example, and receive payments. You can even go to manage transactions, right, and receive payments there, all right? And the last one that we showed you was on the income tracker. I'm not gonna show you the income tracker yet, but there is one on the income tracker. And also, we're going to be taking a look here at the hidden one. So if I were to go to click Mr. Bob Mason, because that's the one that we're going to be looking at, I believe we're going to be looking at invoice number, let me see, invoice number, something that owes $401. So here, this invoice right here, number 3947. If I go ahead and double click that invoice right here, at the very top of the window, you have receive payments right there. So that is a total of 7 ways you can receive receive payments. So since I'm already here, okay, at my invoices, I'm gonna go ahead and click that receive payment button. All right. And what's going to happen is it's going to pop up another form, but this time it's going to say customer payment. So notice this. Now this customer payment window looks very familiar. It looks similar to our sales receipt, right? We have the option of him either paying cash, check, credit card, and etc., etc. Okay? So in this case, Mr. Bob Mason's name has been already highlighted. And notice that because I actually clicked it from the invoice, it's populating right here that it's showing me that the total that amount that I'm receiving is going to be the $401.39. Okay? And what day did I receive this payment on?
For the example in here, it's at
I think it says January 28th. Okay, so go back. So it's the same day, January 28th, okay, of 2019, all right? So here, a customer has the choice to make payments for all of his invoices if he wanted to, okay? So that's what you also have to know too, is that, you know, you can receive a big fat check and it's to make payments for everything, right? Or you can actually select which one is he making a payment to. Usually, it will, he'll indicate some kind of saying that I'm paying for this invoice number, or usually the numbers should match. But for any instances you receive an underpayment, or he's only paying a portion of it, that's where you're going to have to determine, well, which one would it be? You're most likely going to have to, you should actually apply it to the most earliest invoice, or the first invoice that you have with that person that owes you the money. Usually it's going to be the oldest invoice, okay? Because again, that one could be racking up, a lot of fines and things, etc., like that, right? You never want to apply it to the most recent one, okay? So that's just a little rule of thumb here. But in this case, we're going to be receiving a payment from this particular person, and it's going to be there. And the reference number, again, since we already have the invoice number itself, there's no need for a reference number. It's up to you if you want to tag every single payment, if you'd like. But because we are directly correlating to this exact particular invoice, you don't need a reference number. Okay. In this case, he also is paying a check to us. And what is that check number? So now this reference number turned into a check number. What's the check number?
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I have check number 5256. Yes.
I knew I'd find it.
5256. All right. And we're just going to verify that this is the payment for the full $401. That's correct. And now that everything looks good, we received a check. And that's it. We can go ahead and click Save and Close. Boom. All right. And notice this. This changes right here in green. It says that, boom, it's been paid. Okay. And then, of course, when I go into my little section here, it even tells me that I received a payment. Okay, here, payment, 56. And of course, it's not going to tell you exactly what it is for, but it gives you the amount that was paid for. All right. So that's what's really cool about that. Okay. So that's what happens when we receive a payment and it is via a check or something as standard as that. All right. But now we're going to take another payment for Miss Maria Cruz over here. Okay. And this time we're going to be taking a look at someone who is going to pay us.
Are you doing partial payments or are you doing credit cards?
We're gonna do credit cards because partial payments is it's not something there's no activity for you to do. It's an explanation. So as I mentioned before, right? Even if he made a partial payment, right? Let's say Mr. Bob Mason did make a partial payment, we would have to apply it to the most oldest invoice because, because if he's owing us so much money, right? You never want to take it off the first invoice or the most recent invoice because then the old invoice, right? Because as a customer, as a vendor, we can charge our customers additional fees such as late charges. So you definitely want to apply a partial payment if it's not, specified, saying, hey, I want to make a payment to this particular one. If it's not specified and they gave us a random check that says, here's $50, then you're going to apply it to the oldest one, oldest invoice that there is. Or if there's only one invoice, then you apply it to that invoice. And all you have to do is just write them a letter saying, hey, you only made a partial payment. So, and if they tell you and explain why, saying, right now I'm short on money, I'll send another check in 2 weeks. Okay, so whatever agreement you have, usually that's the scenario here. You when you receive payments, you can And you should receive the payment, okay? Because at the end of the day, your customer is attempting to pay off what they owe you, and you want to accept it. You don't want to send their check back and say, no, I want you to pay me in full. You're going to take what you can get, okay? Because especially when it comes to customers, right? And that's where chapter 3 is going to come into play when we talk about customers' credits and customers if they fault on their payment. So chapter 3, right? That's why when we say take what you can get instead of return the check and say, no, I want the full amount, you should take what you should get. Because again, the assumption is that that customer could potentially one day say, I can't afford to pay you. All right. And they owe you $1,000. So taking as much as you can at the time of thing, it only just lowers their, amount that they owe you. And if they do fault on their payment or they do end up paying you late, then that's where you have every subject or every right to go ahead and charge them additional fees for them. But that's also within contract as well. Okay, so know that as well before you can go ahead and, assess a financial charge. You need to make sure that they agree to that. And usually, that's
I used to
usually.
have that, sorry.
Go ahead.
I used to have that when I ran that collections business at
Yes.
the Indiana Credit Union League. I was always having to tell my credit unions, look, would you rather get a little bit of something or a whole lot of nothing?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying too. It is a company policy, especially, right? Before they say yes, I'm gonna put it on an account, you have to verify their credit score. You also have to have them sign a terms and policy. Do you understand if you don't make payments, you can be subject to a fine. So they have to agree to that. Okay, you can't just surprise and say, hey, guess what, I'm going to charge you $100 because I feel like it. No, that's not right. They have to, it's a legally binding document that they sign, that they read the terms. And oftentimes they don't do it. So anyways, tangent aside, no worries. Tangent aside, we're going to take a look at what happens when we actually receive a credit card payment. So that is where it's going to be interesting here. So again, we're going to be taking a look at receiving a payment from Miss Maria Cruz. Okay. So, so you have a choice. You can either select Maria Cruz, right? Maria Cruz, especially branch opening, whichever one that you want to go ahead and do. Right? And let's say you want to do that, and I'm going to go ahead and right click on them, and I'm going to receive a payment for them. Okay. Again, that same window pops up, and this time everything that's going on for the Maria Cruz branch opening is going to pull up all the information right here. All right. And in this case, because she is paying with a credit card, make sure that you select that. It's going to ask you for their credit card information. So that means when you actually entered information for Maria Cruz, you never entered in their credit card information. All right. So in this case, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now notice that that's the same exact credit card number as Mr. Tim Fang. Okay, but of course, this is practice purposes only. This isn't fraud. But you want to just make sure that you have that and you have the expiration date. So in this case, it is going to be, is it May?
2020.
10. I'm going to go ahead and say 10/20/2022, just so that it doesn't flag me. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click done. So same thing, we're going to make a payment. Let's say it happened on that day. Now, what is the payment amount? All right? As you notice, none of my invoices are selected. In this case, Miss Maria Cruz decided to pay for the whole entire amount, just one shot. So I'm going to go ahead and select each one. Okay, well, let's see what this message says. If you do not enter in an amount, okay, do not display this message. Okay, yes. All right, so apparently it wants me to write an amount in here first and then select them in there. But in this case, it's supposed to allow you to select them all, and then this should change itself, okay? So just like I did right now, it changed to the full amount of the 1950. Okay. So now that I see that, and this is a credit card payment. When we move into recording the deposits, there's a little fun fact that you should know about the credit cards. Okay. Now that we have this section here done, I'm gonna go ahead and click Save and Close. So receiving payments is so easy. All you have to do is verify the number, right? Especially if it's a written check, cash, whatever amount that it is, and you're going to select to apply it to a certain invoice, okay? If a person has multiple invoices, you're going to have to filter out which invoice they're paying for, okay? If it's only one invoice, then it's pretty straightforward. That payment is for that one invoice. Same thing with partial payments, right? You're going to have to figure out which payment it is towards, and usually if it is a partial payment, you're more likely to go towards the most oldest invoice, okay? So with that being said, receiving payments is by far the most easiest one because we just did click, 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 and that was it. We didn't have to add anything. We didn't have to subtract anything. That was pretty straightforward, and that is pretty much it, okay? As far as receiving payments. I don't know how to say this anymore, but that's how you do it, okay? So then last but not least, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at where the money went. Okay, so that's the next section here is where does the money go? Okay, as we take a look at our graphic depiction, we've talked about this. It goes straight into the undeposited funds. Now notice this. Notice this. We have a total of 3 pending payments. Okay, I think we're supposed to have 4, but that's okay. 3 is good enough, right? So now that we come here, right? Now the assumption is we have 2 checks and 1 credit card payment. I think we're supposed to do Bob Mason one more time for his other stuff, but that's okay. We could still do it. We could still do the problem. All right. So here, once I press that button, and now I'm in my record deposits or my undeposited funds here window. So this is where I can choose to either select my forms of payments or I could just enter them all in at once. Now notice this. Rule of thumb is that when you make your deposits, the fine line here is you should actually separate your deposits in this perspective, because we have 2 that are checks and then 1 that is a credit card transaction. Now, when we understand this, when we deposit any cash or any checks, right, it goes straight into the bank account, no problem, okay? But however, when I think we briefly talked about this, when we're dealing with credit cards, okay, because a credit card, right, they are a debt collector, right, because we have either Visa, credit card, MasterCard, whatever, any type of credit card company out there, because we're using their services to collect money for us instantly, and it allows the customer to transfer the money easily. We have to sign an agreement to the credit card company that because they are essentially taking care of the debt for us, right? collecting the debt for us and having it paid for us, we have to determine some kind of agreement with them, whether it's a percentage of our sales or whether it's a flat rate payment. Okay, so it depends on whoever the credit card company or the debt collector, whoever you're working with. Most cases, again, when we talked about our, companies, we have Visa, we have MasterCard, we have American Express, we have Discover, right? They're all different types of companies that are debt collectors or credit card companies. And every single one of them is going to have a specific percentage, okay? So with that being said, that means they take a cut of our sales, okay? Or
Change, yes.
Yes. It's either they take a percentage of a cut from our sales, or we make a payment to them, whatever agreement that you make, right? It could be a flat fee. Most cases, it's a percentage because they want a cut of the pie, okay? Mm-hmm. So with that being said, that means when we transfer this money into our bank account, we're not going to transfer all of it. We have to take that percentage out into calculation and update our inventory, update our bank account accordingly. Because of course, when they charge their credit card, it's going to instantly go to our bank, right? So the instantly it goes to our bank account, it's already going to process that paperwork for us and tell us that, hey, you only get this much money. Okay, so but because we're looking at our standpoint of our receiving the payment, we need to calculate that money separately. So that's why they recommend you to, deposit your cash and deposit your checks first, and then deposit the rest. Okay, and depending on what credit card company you are doing or whatever, if you have an EBT transaction, if you charge interest, whatever it is. You're going to be, you have to be calculating that thing separately. So in this case, here you have the choice. You can utilize it up here. So in this case, this is under the assumption that you're dealing with millions of transactions. So your list is going to go way beyond this, okay, in receiving payments. But in this case, we only have 3. So it makes it a lot more easier for us, and we don't need to filter it out. You can filter it out based on the payments, right? You can either do all payment types, or you can separate it either Visa and cash and checks. You could do by credit card, debit card. Other transactions you can go ahead and place here, okay? But in this case, like I said, because we have such minimal things, I don't need to separate my checks and stuff because I can see it. It says right here, I got check, Visa. So that means I'm going to select check first, and then I'm going to deal with the payment for Maria Cruz later. Okay? So once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and click that OK button. And you're going to notice it's going to pile it up here. Now, this is where you can either add any extra payments to your pile, or if you want to, take money out. So yes, you can get cash back as well. All right. And this is only, again, this isn't in place of you actually physically going to the bank itself. Okay. This is what you do after you've done the bank. All right. So this is the assumption. Do you need to have any cash back? This cashback is only meant if you are potentially wanting to either have a petty cash drawer, or let's say you do have a cash register and you need money in it, then that's where, you can go ahead and withdraw the cash, all right? So that's where this bottom section is. It's strictly only for those reasons, because you're going to need to have an exact account for that particular thing. So if you click that cash, where does it go? It's going to ask you, well, which account are you going to place it in? Okay? So that's why it's very specific. You better make sure that you're not taking the cash for yourself. Okay? Because if you do, you're gonna have to. You should generally write yourself a check. Okay, and it's basically how much cash are you going to take away. All right. You could also enter in any personal checks that you'd like to place in here, in case of, for example, you want to have an investment. So that's what we're going to do right here. Before we go ahead and validate the rest of this, I'm going to actually enter in one more thing, and that's going to be investments. I'm going to say, well, you know what? I am going to invest in my company. Okay, so here I have investments. Okay, and I'm going to say I wrote a check to this, and it's going to be for check number. What does the check number say? In this one, I think it's 13,451, and it's a check. And for what amount is it for? $15,000. 1, 2, 3. $15,000. Okay. And notice this. So by me entering in a personal investment check, all right, I'm going to increase my bank account right now with this check because I'm depositing into the bank. Okay. So here, right here, it says payment method, class. It's up to you whether you want to separate this cost in this case because I'm not really categorizing it. It's up to you what you want to do. You can categorize your payments if you'd like, or your deposits. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave them blank. Unless it does it. I think Bob is for sure San Jose, right? And then for the investment check, right, that applies to both locations. It's an investment for the overall company. So if you have overhead on there, then that's what you're going to place it in. But in this case, I'm going to leave it blank for now. And yes. And of course, we want to make sure that this payment is as of, I think, the 31st. Okay? Okay?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, just go ahead, go for it. So now that I have this and I validated that, I am going to be depositing at a grand total of $15,870.42. I'm going to go ahead, click Save and Close. Okay? So notice this, my 3 turned into a 1. So I still have one more pending deposit I need to enter in, and it's going to be for my credit card transaction. All right, so now that I have my one and only last payment, I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to click OK. So notice I'm at this window, okay? And we talked about this as well. We also have to, now that we realize that this that Maria Cruz, they paid us with a credit card. Now this is where we have to go ahead and determine our percentage that we need to take away. All right. So in this case, this account is going to be my bank card charges. Okay. So bank card. Bank service charge, bank card.
Bank fees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bank card fees. All right. Because again, like I said, I mentioned it before. Visa's going to take a percentage of your sales. So in this case, they're going to take, I believe they take 2% in this one. Okay. So instead of actually going ahead and just writing 2% here, we actually need to determine an actual full amount. Now you want to be very careful with this because I should reword that. You don't have to be very careful with this, but you want to make sure that you type in the correct amount. So in this case, I know that for this kind of transaction, I need to charge a 2% for my Visa credit card. Okay, so what I can do here is I can actually set up a quick math section here. So by me typing in 1950 and I go ahead and press one of my keys, or whether it's a plus, minus, multiply, or division, I'm creating a little receipt tape. You know how you have the little receipt tape? And notice that it's now creating a little section for me to do little quick math here. So I don't have to have a calculator readily on hand. I can go ahead and type in the formula right here. I'm going to say it was for 2%. And then this is where you can go ahead and click the enter button. Okay. And there you go. Now it shows me that I have a $39 charge. Okay. But notice this. We didn't do it right. Because look, now my deposit's going to be for the full amount of $19.89. And that's not what I want. I don't want $19.89 because that means I'm getting additional money from a credit card company, and that's not correct. So in this case, you have to remember that if you are trying to calculate a fee or something like that, you're actually going to have to type in a negative number. So negative 0.2%, enter, and notice now it is a negative $39. And when I do that, that means the amount that actually is supposed to go into my bank is actually $19.11. Right? And this $39 is going to be a bank charge, and it's going to charge my bank automatically. Okay? So there you go. That's how you do quick math. It's you just pretty much type in the numbers, type in your your function, your math symbols, and it will automatically create a little receipt tape, and that's how you do your quick math function. Okay. Same thing down below. I'm not going to make any withdrawals for any reason. So now that I have that piece of information in here, I'm going to go ahead, click Save and Close. Okay. Now I have no more notifications in my little receive deposit section. Okay. And if I go to my checking register, I'm going to click OK. Notice this, that I've made deposits here and a deposit here. Okay. And there is my two deposits, right? For the $19.11 and for the $15,000. Bringing my grand total in my bank to be $29,343. Okay. And that's how you record your deposits. All right. Any questions? Okay. Good. So I believe that is it for chapter 2. Okay. I'm scrolling to see. Making bank deposits, we just talked about that. Printing deposit slips. Oh, okay. Guess I could teach you this too. All right. Now that we are finished making our deposit, you can print out this deposit slip. Now again, most cases you don't need to do it because you're supposed to make the deposit at the bank, and you're supposed to get your like an actual bank slip deposit, and you're supposed to take that and compare it to what you have in your books, okay, or your QuickBooks. So in that case, but I'll go ahead and take a second for you to go ahead and take a look at this. So again, it says here that to display the most recent bank deposit, okay, a transaction by selecting the banking menu bar and then selecting make deposits. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to banking. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and click make deposits. So we've already done that. Okay, we already created the deposit. So let me keep reading. Sorry. All right, once you select make the deposits. Okay, so click cancel if you already made the deposit. All right, so then click print on the make deposits window. Print on the make deposits window. Oh, okay, it's at the top. Duh. So again, I already placed in my others my whatchamacallit. I already made my deposits, but if I were to go ahead and click that and it says here deposits summary only, or if you want a deposit slip and the deposit summary, it's up to you what you want to do. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and here it is my deposit summary. Okay, but of course, like I said, I've already done it previously, so it's not going to show me that one. But again, it's going to show me, well, what do I want to display, etc., etc. And do I want it to be collated? Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click that preview button. And of course, it's because I've already made my deposit, so it's going to show me 0. So before you even do that, you want to make sure that you print it out before you complete your deposits, because then at the end of the day, you won't, you're not going to be able to see it until you see it in your bank. So I'm going to click close real quick, and I'm going to click this window out real quick. So let me go back to my, so let's say if I want to go here, I want to show my deposit, right? So here it is. This is what I meant to do. Okay, so here I see my deposit for the Maria Cruise, right? My credit card statement, right? I want to go ahead and print out this deposit slip, right? So then I can go ahead and determine, do I want the deposit slip or do I want the summary? Let's do the summary. So if I go ahead and do that and I click on that preview button, here it goes. It shows me here that this is what happened. If I look carefully, it says right here, the last cash balance, and then of course your new cash balance is for the 1911. So again, it's not that great, honestly, just because you don't need to do it, because you're not using QuickBooks to deposit the money for you. It should all be automatically. Excuse me. Let me fix that that statement again. You don't need to print it out because you're going to get it from the bank anyway. So that's just more, information or more work for you that you don't need to do. But it does become relevant, especially when you're dealing with your bank reconciliation, which is going to be something that we learn on Wednesday. Okay. So there is that. All right. And then other than that, I think that's it. That's it for chapter chapter 2. Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We talked about the income tracker already. Okay. Most reports we're gonna do that on tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Let's go ahead and go over the review questions. Let me get my paper ready too. Okay. Okay, so number 1, okay, in the new customers window, you find everything except D, year to end or year to date sales information. That's true. All right. Yes, when you enter in a new customer, you're obviously going to have the customer name. You know, you're obviously going to have the customer invoice slash bill to shipping date and I'm sorry, shipping address. And you also have the customer whether you want to activate it or inactivate it, which we actually talked about. Okay. All right, number 2. Okay. You should record a sales receipt when the customer pays.
A,
Mm-hmm.
it's a cash check
Mm-hmm.
at the time of sale.
At time of sale. That's the most important thing is it has to be done at time of sales. Okay. Number 3. Okay. Which statement is false?
B,
B is correct. Yes. Let's go over all of them anyways. So A says invoices are very similar to sales receipts. Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes, that is true. The only difference between them is one of them allows you to choose the option of payment and the other one does not. Okay. C says sales receipts has no effect on an accounts receivable.
Oh, that's not right.
No, that is true. We're looking at which one's false.
I'm sorry, I was thinking, never mind what I was thinking.
No, it's okay. I got you. But yes, sales receipt, right? It's cash now, so that doesn't have to do with accounts receivable at all.
That's what
Accounts
I was thinking.
receivable.
It has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with that, so,
Good.
okay.
All right. D says invoices should be created when customers are going to pay after the date of the initial sale.
You should always be doing that as soon as they do the invoice, almost as soon as they buy whatever they're going to buy from you.
Yes. So, but this is true because the question here is asking is when do you use an invoice? You use it when a customer potentially plans to pay you later. They don't want to pay you now, but for the at time of sale, they pay you later after the sale. Okay, so yes, you use invoices for that, so that is true. All right, number 4. Okay, you may specify payment terms on the new customer window. However,
Receipt, and second doesn't make sense. Oh, it's D then.
okay, you are also permitted to override the terms on each sale. Yes, yes, yes.
No
You're
reason to inform a sales representative, and you can change the terms anytime you want, especially if they're not adhering to them. And
yes, absolutely. Like if you, I mean, you know, you know, in regards to whether you like them or not, that shouldn't be a factor. But yes, you can choose to give them terms or not. You don't have to give it any time, especially that usually happens when you have like a sale going on that you've already discounted them. Why would you give them a double discount? So that in that kind of sense, you can override the term section and say no. I already gave them a discount, so I'm going to have them only pay, you know, in full in 30 days. Okay. Lastly, number 5, your company, your company has just accepted a payment for an invoice. Okay, what should you do in QuickBooks to record this payment?
want to say A, because you can go in there and show it from the invoices. You can show that the payments were made on it.
Okay, but the question is, how do you record this
Wow.
payment?
D.
Yes, it's pretty straightforward. You record that you received the payment by selecting the receive payments button.
Right, because you're not making a deposit at the bank. So
No.
C makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. You're not making a deposit. That's if you that's it will say specifically the question is how do you record the deposit? Okay, in this case the question says that you received a payment for an invoice. How should you record the payment? Pretty straightforward. You received the payment. All right. All right, good job. It is now 4:15. Go ahead and have a lovely rest of your day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so again, tomorrow we're going to be talking about chapter 3. So we're going to be